Yo, welcome back to Containing Luxury. On this episode, we're gonna be doing only our second Q&A ever. And believe it or not, I was sitting on a different couch in one of our other container homes when we first did it. Let's get started. All right, top 5 questions we commonly get. The biggest one is probably, where do I put it? We have a lot of customers that walk through our door and they're like, hey, I got cash, I wanna buy one, but where can I put it? And that question is almost impossible for us to answer. Find a city that you're like, this is where ideally I would like to be. What you're gonna do next is call the local municipality. Talk to planning and zoning. The building department is the first location. The building department will get you to planning and zoning. Planning and zoning is really gonna determine what areas you can even look at to achieve what you're trying to do. A lot of the time you're gonna find that there's minimum square footage requirements on some of these lots. Meaning, I buy a single family lot that doesn't have a home on it and I wanna put one of our models on it. The big issue is that city might have a zoning restriction that says you can't do that because your home needs to be 900 square feet. Or 1,000 square feet, or whatever their restriction might be. So first you want to start with talking, planning and zoning, telling them what your idea is and help them direct you to pieces and parcels, whether it's out on the outskirts or wherever that is. Otherwise, you're working the whole system backwards. You're gonna fall in love with a piece of land and then you can't even do what you wanna do on it. So that's step one. Second most common question we get is, can I finance one? The answer is yes. Now, it's not that easy though. There's a couple of different creative ways you can finance a container home. Generally, we're a licensed manufacturer, so we're working on getting our own in-house financing that's gonna be backed by a bunch of banks or whatever it is. But most of the time when you're trying to finance a container home, if it's not a multi-container build, it's not technically registered as a single family residence. So it's not gonna be something you just go get a mortgage from the bank. You have to kind of go through some loopholes to get the type of financing that you would like. Meaning, put it on a trailer and now it's an RV. So now you can get something like an RV loan. But the truth is, there's really no perfect way that doesn't exist. But as this market's growing nonstop every day, and we have tons of customers coming in, people are starting to see there's a real need for this, and more options are popping up. Most container home builders out there are financing these are really just personal loans. Now, personal loans, if you looked into them, I'm sure the second you ever applied for one, you get bombarded with texts of, we heard you need credit, or you want this, and here's a loan, and now your phone is in whatever database that is, and you just will never get spammed. You'll never not get spammed again. The thing to consider before applying for one of those personal loans is that they're unsecured, meaning the bank is not securing this with really anything other than your credit and your income. So they're taking a big risk. In turn, they're gonna charge you a lot of interest. The best thing to do is to try and find a builder that has their own in-house financing program because they know the value of their product. And if they believe in their product like we do, they're gonna back it. They're willing to put a mortgage on it because they know that there's really not much you could do to their product to damage it. It's still gonna have value in the, God forsake, the path that you have to take it back. You gotta find the right option with the right builder for the right type of financing, but it is very difficult to navigate, and we're hoping to have solutions for that in the future. Solutions to the question of where can I put it? So what have we commonly found as areas that were easy for us to get these out the door and get in with the least amount of red tape? Now, Florida is obviously where we're building. It's a very expensive market. We have tons of building codes. So we've gone a route of actually getting ours permitted to go in the backyards as ADUs, but not as a primary residence. Because we talked about all that red tape of how difficult it is to become a primary residence with zoning restrictions on minimum square footage. So when we go into the ADU market, which is an accessory dwelling unit, we found that as licensed general contractors in the state of Florida, we can actually go through a full engineering and get these permitted as ADUs. The problem is it's pretty expensive, but it is a way to get it done, and the alternatives are not any less expensive. It's very expensive to build down here, so it's a quick and painless option as much as construction in South Florida can be quick and painless. So that's our best solution for that market. Option 2 is unrestricted land. Now, Texas, tons of unrestricted land. Tennessee, unrestricted land. Generally in northern Florida, you can find unrestricted land, but it's not really unrestricted. Still might have some deed restrictions. So trying to find truly unrestricted land, meaning I don't even have to involve the municipalities other than possibly a health department like the septic inspection or the water connections or the power connections. So that's generally what you're gonna find with unrestricted land areas. So we've covered ADUs, unrestricted land, and then agriculture. So people that have large farms, horse ranches, a lot of time they're ag exempt. And that ag exemption allows them to use products like this as workforce housing. So there's a lot of different ag exemptions, but you have to still contact your local municipality and find out that if your ag exemption allows that you don't even have to pull a permit and you can get those out there. But a lot of the time, that's what you're gonna find is when you're ag exempt, it really removes a lot of that red tape that you're gonna have to find. Okay, the cost. Again, it's another thing that can vary greatly. Are you comparing a Ferrari to a tank to a Honda Civic? You always have to take into consideration what specific product, and that's one thing you're gonna kind of find with us. If you go to our base model and you go to our premium model, a lot of time it has the same finishes. It's gonna be the same wall finish, it's the same floor finishing, it's the same cabinetry, the same countertops. So the only difference you see with us when in regards to pricing is the glass packages. So there's premium glass packages, there's standard glass packages, and then maybe some upgrades like shiplap. But for the most part, we standardize having a nice luxury feel from our base model product to our premium product. So our price ranges are not insanely drastic, but generally you're gonna see something of like a base 20 foot being around $35,000. For a Florida licensed product, that's extremely inexpensive, especially built by a licensed general contractor. Now, a premium model of our 20 foot could go for about $45,000. So still, you're not talking a big price tag. And then when you get into our 40 foot models, you start at around $65,000 for a very nicely finished 40 foot container model. And then you can be a really high-end one in the $80,000 to $85,000 range. Now keep in mind there's additional upgrades that you can do like off-grid solar, composting toilets, trailers, and all those are always just gonna be an a la carte item attached onto the price tag of whatever model you chose to buy.